Good morning, gang. Today we're going to be taking notes over being able to show relationships between data sets. I hope you had a good weekend. Again, we're going to be able to show the relationship between data sets. So let's start off with some vocabulary so we know what we're talking about. All right. So we have inputs and we have outputs. Remember, we were talking about this function machine. What you put into it is what you get out of it. If you put bread into the toaster, you get out toast. Bread is your input, toast is your output, and the machine is that toaster. So that's how, don't overcomplicate it. I keep saying don't overcomplicate it. So our input would be compared to that bread that you put in it. Output is the toast. So inputs are order pairs that can be shown, as inputs and outputs. Inputs, and then they get out a 1. Input 1, they get out 2. Input 2, you get out 4. Okay? All of these order pairs have a relationship. We call those relations. In relationships, relations can be showed by this mapping diagram, by a table, by equation, by a graph. If we covered equations, tables, and graphs slightly, but now I'm going to introduce one more thing to you called a mapping diagram. It looks like a table. Here's your list of inputs. Here's your list of outputs. The only difference is you circle them and make an arrow going to what the output is. 0 goes to 1, like this ordered pair here. 1 goes to 2, like this ordered pair here. 2 goes to 4, like that ordered pair there. Okay? Instead of a table, it has arrows. Now, there's a specific type of relation called a function. So here's what I need you guys to be picturing. Everything that we've learned about is a relation, but not every relation is a function. And so we're going to be able to determine the difference. A function pairs each input, so what you put into your machine, you only get one thing out. The one thing you put in, you get one thing out. All right. Before we can determine the difference between relation and function, let's go ahead and take a look at this mapping diagram and be able to list out the ordered pairs. So I want you to be able to read the mapping diagram because this is a part of our objective today. 0 goes to 12, so we would write that as input 0, output 12. X is 0, Y is 12. Input 2, output 10. Input 4, output 8. Input 6, output 6. That's all you have to do in order to make your ordered pairs. So let's go to example 2. Input 1, output -1. You also input 1 and you output -2. Input 2, output -3, input 2, output -4. All right, so these two are relations, but are they functions is the next question. This one is a function because 0 only goes to one thing, 2 only goes to one thing, 4 only goes to one thing, 6 only goes to one thing. Number 2 is just a relation because 1 goes to 2 things, 2 goes to 2 things. All right, let's look at our next examples. Determine whether the relation is a function. -1/2 goes to 2 things, so it is not a function. It's not a function, not a function. 2 goes to one thing, 4 goes to one thing, 6 goes to one thing, 8 goes to one thing, so this is a function. All right. Hope you guys are doing okay. The last thing we need to be able to do is determine whether it's a function, then describe that pattern. So we know how to look at a mapping diagram and list the ordered pairs. We know how to look at a mapping diagram and determine if it's a function or not. Now we need to be able to describe that pattern going on in there, meaning what operations are going on with the input. So when it says describe pattern, you're thinking operations. Okay, so determine whether it's a relation first. The relation is a function. The answer is yes, because 3 only goes to one thing, 4 only goes to one thing, 5 only goes to one thing, and 6 only goes to one thing. Now, we went from 3 to 36, 4 to 48, 5 to 60. I'm going to start with that 5 to 60. I know for sure 5 times 12 is 60. So I'm gonna start with there. I'm just guessing right now until I figure out what it is. I gotta start somewhere, so let's start there. 3 times 12. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 1 is 3. Sweet, my first guess just happened to be the first one. So describe the input. You multiply the input, so it's gonna say 12 times x equals output y. That's the description. Or you could say y equals 12x. One second. All right, go ahead and get started on these on your own problems. Pause your video when you're ready to resume. Here to check your answers, make sure you pause. All right, for number 1, I should have seen you list the ordered pairs and then determine if it is a function. So it's not a function because 2 goes to 2 separate things. All right, number 2, it is a function, and as each input increased by 1, the output decreased by 13. So input times 13 equals output. All right, your essential question is right there, ready for you to answer, and your checkpoint is up and running. Thanks, guys.